Chapter 4. Speak Powerfully with Silence. Never miss a good chance to shut up. Will Rogers. Conflict resolution. We often view communication as the cornerstone of human connection. Words bridge people, express emotions, resolve disputes. And now, with the rise of AI and its ballooning large language models, we're seeing word based connectivity extend into the furthest reaches of the matrix. Even so, there exists, and will always exist, a realm where words lose their effectiveness, where silence is sovereign. This expansive realm extends into the deep water quietude of the dark sea of awareness. But closer to home, it includes the eminently pragmatic domain of personal boundaries and conflict resolution. Reason tells us that we should always be able to work things out with words. But the absurdly profound truth is that in many crucial moments of conflict, when sanity and safety hang in the balance, choosing not to engage verbally can be by far the most powerful form of speech. Consider that the dragon, the hive mind overlord forever whispering self destructive notions in your ear to extract more of your energy for food, usually wants you to keep talking. The very last thing it needs is for you to shut up when your dander is up and you're on the verge of opening your mouth and inserting your foot. Shamans and energetic alchemists maintain that inner silence can be a sign of the dragon losing its grip on your mind. Outer silence, especially when called for in challenging circumstances, can be a sign that you're starting to experience inner quietude. As you discard things that deplete your energy and begin engaging in activities and processes that increase your personal power, pay attention to any and all such moments when your mind is quiet, yet you're completely functional. These indicate that what you're doing is working, so by all means, stick with it. Silence is certainly the oldest and arguably the purest form of speech. Silence, in the matchless phrasing of the great Persian poet Rumi, is the language of God. All else is poor translation. Silence can be unsettling and disarming, though. We're conditioned to fill the void lest we panic at the thought of our own emptiness. We're encouraged to express our every thought and feeling in absurdly manic ways, yet there's a profound strength in calm, cool, and collected verbal restraint. When we resist the urge to respond impulsively and plant ourselves in our center as opposed to grasping at straws outside ourselves, we tap into a wellspring of inner fortitude. Such mindful silence allows us to detach from the heat of the moment and respond with clarity rather than reactivity. Choosing silence more and more, we lose less and less energy to dumb shit, as I like to say, while intelligently reclaiming our power faster and faster. On numerous occasions, I practiced shamanic and alchemical techniques that allowed me to become lucid in difficult and even traumatic situations where my vital force was spewing out of me, and I was able to reverse the flow in real time back into my body. By paying close attention, you can sense energy loss when it's happening, even if you're still working on the ability to see it. Think back to one of the more heated arguments in your life and remember how you felt completely drained after calming down. The phrase emotionally wrecked comes to mind when I recall some of the unhinged arguments I had as a younger man. Well, in the middle of a conflict, it's possible to find silence and begin breathing or otherwise pulling back in power that has been drained from you. When you do this, often the argument simply stops in its tracks or immediately starts to run out of steam. This occurs because the energy that was partially responsible for fueling the conflict, yours, is taken out of the equation. Sometimes the other party or parties involved also seem to benefit. Last but not least, consider that you're simultaneously depriving the dragon of some of its nutrient supply. How to consciously feed on the dragon's energy and not the other way around is a topic for later discussion that gives a new and improved meaning to dragon food. If this topic piques your interest, be sure to make your way to chapters 15 and 16 for an introduction to recapitulation and energy absorption, respectively. You'll also get a lot out of chapter 17, where I explore the fragmentary body and a simple technique you can use to seal this largest of holes in your bioenergy field, where much of your energy loss occurs. Outside the box techniques aside, we can simply, as a matter of principle and power preservation, refuse to participate in unproductive arguments or engage in conversations that diminish our sense of self worth. Grasp that silence in this context isn't about passive aggression or suppressing our voice. It's about recognizing when our energy is better spent elsewhere or not spent at all. Personal boundaries. In its purest form, silence isn't empty space, a void to avoid. Rather, it's a canvas pregnant with possibilities upon which we can paint our intentions and dreams. Think of silence as a statement of self respect, a declaration of our boundaries, and a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of human interaction. Simply put, personal boundaries are essential for our emotional well being and overall mental health. Boundaries define where we end and they begin, protecting our identity and preventing us from being overwhelmed by the imperatives of others. Properly utilized, silence can be an extraordinarily effective method for establishing and maintaining such boundaries. Imagine being bombarded with random requests or pressured into situations that make you uncomfortable. A direct confrontation might escalate the scenario beyond hope of recall, whereas agreeing out of obligation leaves you smoldering with resentment and perhaps even shame. Silence, however, offers a third option, a way to disengage without drama, regret, or guilt. By categorically refusing to engage in conversations that violate our boundaries, we send a clear message, louder than words, that we're not okay with a particular situation or dynamic. This strategy, let it be noted, can be utilized both offline and on. Our silence might be met with resistance initially, but consistent, non-aggressive clamming up speaks volumes efficiently and effectively. Thus, we demonstrate self-respect and a willingness to walk away from situations that compromise our inner peace. Silence can also be a form of pragmatic self-preservation. In the face of anger or aggression, our survival instinct usually urges us to fight back. This type of last resort reaction, however, typically only exacerbates conflict and ends up creating more harm than good. Instead, choosing not to engage and, if necessary, leave the scene allows us to stay centered, preventing things from escalating. Former French President Charles de Gaulle said it best: silence is the ultimate weapon of power. Used skillfully, silence becomes a shield against negativity and manipulation. Silence can allow us to navigate potentially compromising interactions with aplomb and maintain our equilibrium in the face of external pressures. Conflicts are, of course, an inevitable part of life. When dissension arises and testosterone runs high, our instinctual response is to defend our point of view by proving the other party wrong. But as with fighting back unnecessarily, this stubborn approach rarely leads to resolution and often fans the flames of conflict. Get your woo out of your way. True personal mastery is expressed in self-control and not reacting. Imagine being caught in a heated argument. Accusations are flying like arrows, battle cries are raised, and bloodlust is soaring. In the heat of the moment, the temptation to fire back with equal force is visceral, palpable. But what if suddenly and unexpectedly you chose to do absolutely nothing? What if you simply listened, observed, and, as if watching a movie that didn't particularly interest you, refused to engage in the drama? Non reaction isn't about ignoring the problem or suppressing your emotions, but about choosing a more skillful and, dare I say, more eloquent response. It's about recognizing that your silence can be more disarming than any logical or illogical argument. By refusing to engage in a back and forth that's generating a lot more heat than light, you create space for the other person to calm down and for the situation to de escalate. This approach requires a high degree of emotional intelligence and maturity. It demands that we step outside the reactive mind imposed by the dragon and observe the situation with detachment. It requires, above all else, that we slow down. This isn't always easy, but the rewards can be immense. In the words of Sharon Salzberg, restore your attention or bring it to a new level by dramatically slowing down whatever you're doing. By mastering the slow art of non reaction, we transform conflict into an opportunity for maturation. We learn to regulate our emotions, communicate far more effectively, and build stronger, more harmonious relationships. The venerated Eastern philosophy of Taoism offers an absurdly profound concept that resonates deeply with the power of silence: Wu Wei, variously translated as effortless effort, effortless action, inaction, and non doing. Wu Wei is about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life, letting go of control, and allowing things to unfold organically. To the extent that we're usually our own worst enemy, Wu Wei is definitely about getting out of our own way. In the context of conflict resolution, Wu Wei encourages us to approach disagreements with a sense of controlled, but not controlling, detachment. Instead of imposing our will or trying to micromanage the outcome, we learn to flow with the present moment and allow the situation to resolve itself naturally. This doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. The practice of Wu Wei, which can be greatly facilitated through the study of Tai Chi, Qigong, and even Toltec shamanism's equivalent, magical passes, is about finding a delicate balance between action and inaction. We speak our truth when necessary, but we also recognize when silence is the more prudent and persuasive course of action. Wu Wei teaches that genuine strength lies not in forcing our way through life like the proverbial bull in the china shop, but in moving with the current, adapting to changing circumstances, and finding peace even when surrounded by swirling eddies of chaos. As such, it's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most effective action is none at all. By embracing the principles of Wu Wei, we tap into a deeper wisdom that guides us toward harmonious solutions. We learn to trust the natural layout of the situation and find peace in the now, regardless of the challenges we face. If you want to have a bit of lighthearted fun with this oftentimes new agey concept and avoid taking it too seriously in its own rather playful spirit, imagine your woo simply getting out of your way. Then, taking deep breaths as your usually domineering thoughts suddenly stop racing past inside your surrogate mind, embrace your silence and observe quietly as your circumstances change for the better.